Hello everyone. Uh, I'm Professor S.R. Patil, Department of Information Science and Engineering, BLDA CET Vijaypura. I'm going to teach categories of functions in today's lecture. The functions can be categorized into following four types based on the number of parameters or inputs they receive to do specific tasks and return a value. So here in today's lecture, we are going to see what are the four categories of the functions based on the number of arguments or return value. The first category is functions with no arguments and no return value. The second category is functions with arguments and no return value. And third category is functions with arguments and return value. And the fourth category is functions with no arguments and return value. So these are the four categories based on the number of arguments, or we can say parameters, which we are going to pass to the function and which return the value. So we'll see one by one. The first one is functions with the first category, that is the functions with no arguments and no return value. It means that the programmer is not going to give any parameter or argument to the function and it doesn't return any value. So these functions do not receive any inputs from the calling function main and do not return any value back to it, but these functions do specific tasks. So we'll see what are the tasks it is going to perform. There is no data transmission between calling and called function. Why? Because we are not going to pass any argument for that, and even the called function is not going to return any value. That is why there is no data transmission between the calling and called function. So we'll see one example, then you'll get an idea how this works. So example, this is an example for what? Example for function with no argument and no return value. Okay, so this is a header file. So in this program, we are going to perform addition of the two numbers. Okay, so this is void sum void. Remember, void, it doesn't return any value. So here sum is a function name, and this void is what? This void means we are not going to pass any parameter or argument to this particular function. This is called it as a function prototype. Okay, so three elements of the function we have seen in the previous video. One is function prototype, then function calling, and function definition. Okay, so execution of the main function, that is start from void main, clear screen. So here we are calling the function. Okay, so what is the name of the function? Sum. So when we call this function, what happens? The control will automatically go to the this particular sum function. So here void sum and void. So why I have written like this means, because this particular sum function, it doesn't return any value and we are not going to pass any parameter or argument to the sum function. So that is why I have written void as an argument. Okay, so int n1 n2 answer. So n1 and n2 are required for addition of the two numbers. Finally, I am going to store this value in the variable answer. Okay, so here enter two number. So it will ask enter two number. I am reading the two number, that is using the scanf statement. So ampersand n1 ampersand n2 means it will read the two number. So in the output screen, you can able to see there are two numbers are there, 7 and 3. So two numbers, I'm going to read it from the keyboard. Okay, fine. What operation I'm going to perform here? Addition operation. N1 plus N2. So 7 plus 3. What is the result? 10. 10 is going to store in the answer. So finally, I'm supposed to display the addition of the two numbers. So that is addition is answer contains 10. So addition 10 is going to display on the monitor. Understood? So this is a simple program which talks about no argument, the function with no arguments and no return value. Okay, so this is the first category. Move on to the second category, that is functions with arguments and no return value. So here the name itself will tell functions with arguments. It means that the programmer can pass the parameter or arguments, okay, but it doesn't return any value, okay. So here these functions receive inputs from the calling function. It receives the input from the calling function, that is main, to do specific task, but do not return any value back to it, okay. But here in this particular function, it is going to receive an input is nothing but what? Parameter or argument, okay. So when it receives the argument but it do not return any value back to it, so the processed data will be displayed by it, okay, whatever the operation that is going to perform. So finally we are going to get the data. That data or output we are going to display on the monitor. So we'll see one example. The same example which you have performed addition of the two number for this particular category. So here this is a header file. The name of the function is what? Sum, okay. So pay attention here. I have passed the argument, okay, int x comma int y is there. What are these? These are the parameters. I'm passing the parameter, but void sum is there. Void sum means, void means what? It doesn't return any value, okay. So this is an example for what? The function which takes the input, it means parameter or argument, but it doesn't return any value, okay. So this is a function prototype. So execution of the function which starts from the main function. So in this main function, so I am going to declare a variable, that is n1 and n2. Of course I required minimum 2 variable for the addition operation. Then I am going to read a number, that is enter any two numbers, okay. So for reading the number, I am going to use the scanf function, okay. So what are the two numbers which I am going to read? I am reading the 7 and 3, okay. So 7 and 3 are the two numbers which I am going to read, okay. So here sum n1 comma n2. So what is the difference here? I am passing the two parameters n1 and n2, okay. I am calling the function here. When I call this particular function, the control will go to here, okay. So it perform this, is int ans is nothing but the result I'm going to store in this particular variable. That is why I have declared answer. So you may ask the question, why didn't you like initialize x and y here, declared x and y here? Here I have declared as a parameter, that is why no need to declare once again, okay. It is going to perform the operation, that is addition operation, x plus y. The result will be stored into the answer. So what is the value of x which I have taken? X value is 7, y value is 3. So here when it performs, the result will be 10, isn't it? So I need to display the result 10. So this is a printf statement for that. Finally the addition is 10. Understood? It's very simple. In this particular program, I'm going to pass the parameter, okay, but it doesn't return any value, okay. Fine. The third category is functions with arguments and return a value, okay. It means that the programmer is going to pass the parameter and it is going to return the value as well, okay. So these functions receive inputs from the calling function main to process and return a value back to it, okay. So data transmission takes place between calling and called function. So why I can say that data transmission takes place? Because I am going to pass the parameter as well and it is going to return the value as well, okay. That is why the data transmission takes place between the calling and called function, okay. Fine. We'll see one example. So example, the same example, addition of the two numbers. So here this is a header file and name of the function is sum. So int is there, okay. Pay attention. In the previous cases we have taken void sum. Void means it doesn't return any value, but int means it return a value, okay. So int sum, and I'm going to pass the parameter as well, int x comma int y, okay. How many parameter I'm going to pass here? Two parameter, okay. So what is this? This is a function prototype, okay. Void main, execution of the main program, execution of the function that start from the main. int n1 comma n2 comma answer. So here n1 and n2 are the two variables which is required for the summation of the two numbers. Finally, the result will be stored into the another variable answer. Okay, so this printf is required for enter any two numbers. So I need to read the number. So those two numbers, I'm going to read it from the scanf statement ampersand n1 and ampersand n2. Why this is percentage d means I have declared as a integer data type. Okay, so here I'm going to call the function. So what is the function name? That is sum. Okay, so here this particular sum function, I'm going to pass two parameters n1 and n2. So here I'm just calling the function. Okay, when I call this particular function, the control will go to automatically here. So int sum, int x, comma int y. It means that I'm going to pass the parameter that is int x and int y to this sum function, and it is going to return a value because I have mentioned as a int instead of void. Okay, so what it is going to return? It returns x plus y. What is that? X plus y is nothing but what? Summation of the two numbers. So finally I am going to display the addition contains what? Answer. This sum which is contains the result will be contained in this particular variable answer, so which I am going to display on the screen. So the just check it out the output. Here I have entered two numbers 7 and 3. Addition of these two numbers will be 10. Understood? Okay. The last category of the function, that is functions with no arguments and a return value. Okay, what does it mean? No arguments means what? Programmer is not going to pass any parameter or argument to the function, but it return a value. Okay, so these functions do not receive any inputs from the calling function main, but return a value back to it. Understood? Okay, we'll see one example. The same addition operation, addition of the two number, we have taken as an example to explain this particular concept. This is header file. This is what? Int sum void is there. What does it mean? Sum is a function name. Okay, void means it is not, I'm not going to pass any parameter or argument to this particular function, but int is there. Int means what? It is going to return a value. Okay, so this is a function prototype. Void main. Okay, execution of the program always start from the main function. So int answer, so I have declared answer because after performing the addition operation, the result will be going to store in this particular variable. Okay, so here answer is equal to sum. So here I am going to pass what? Sorry, I'm going to call the function, but you just look at this. Okay, inside this sum function there is no argument, there is no parameter. It means that I'm not going to pass any argument to this particular function, isn't it? Okay, addition is, so before displaying this particular statement, when I call this sum function, the control will go to the sum function. Okay, so int sum void, int is a, it will return the value, sum is the function name, void means it is not taking any parameter to it. It means that there is no argument. Okay, so int n1 comma n2, of course I require two variables for the performing the addition operation. Enter two numbers. So I'm going to read the two numbers using the scanf statement ampersand n1 and n2. Okay, so return n1 plus n2. Okay, it is going to return the value. So what is the value it is going to return? Addition of the two numbers. N1 and n2 are the two variable which I have read. So what is the value of n1? 7. What is the value of n2? 3. So summation of these two number will be 10. So finally it will come back. Addition is answer. What is the answer? 10 it is going to print. Understood? Okay. So these are the important questions. Okay, first two questions are from the previous topic which I have covered. So I forgot to mention the important question in that particular lecture. So here I have mentioned, just have a glance. Discuss the elements of user-defined functions with syntax and example. So this concept you have gone through. There are three elements are there. So you are supposed to mention all the three elements. You are supposed to write the syntax along with the example. Then second question is, what are actual and formal parameters? So this concept also we have gone through. Give programming example for the same. This third concept, third question, so which is related to the concept which I have discussed now, we explain the categories of the functions based on number of arguments and return value. So there are how many categories are there? Four categories. Okay. For all the four categories, write the syntax, then example for the same. Okay. Understood? Fine. Uh, with this quote, I would like to conclude today's lecture. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in, day out, which is said by Robert Collier. Thank you so much for patience listening. Thank you, on and on.